The European club season has started back up again for us, and that means that there's a lot more for us to pay attention to, especially because this is the final club season leading up to the 2026 World Cup. Not all of the transfers are done yet. The window doesn't close until the end of August. However, a lot of our players are settled in with their teams and they have started playing official games, whether they be in cup competitions or they are actually in their club seasons already. Knowing that, we're going to start a new series here at the channel where we try to put together a starting 11 team of the week every single week to track which of our players are performing at the highest level on a consistent basis. One of the things to track here is that we're not just tracking our European-based players, but we're also following the guys that are playing in the MLS and Mexico. One other thing that we're taking into consideration every week is that the league level matters. If there's a player in the MLS who scores one goal and a player in the EFL Championship who scores a goal, they're both strikers, they both play the same position, they both have similar games. The player that's going to make that starting 11 is probably coming from the championship because the level is just a little bit better. One other thing to keep in mind is that, yes, there are some players that are going to be in MLS or Liga MX or the championship that have standout weeks. That's absolutely true. However, they may not actually be realistic candidates for the US men's national team in the summer of 2026, so we may leave them off of the roster because we are, again, tracking realistic candidates who are going to contribute in the World Cup next summer. With that being said, welcome to the T26 channel where we talk about all things related to the US men's national team. And today we are focusing on our first week of the starting 11 series. Just as we do with any starting lineup, we are going to start at the back with our goalkeeper, and who we're starting this week is Matt Turner. Matt New England Revolution played LAFC over the weekend, where Matt Turner actually had 4 saves. Even though he gave up 2 goals, they were tough, and he did come through with a couple of really big saves. 3 of those saves actually came from shots from inside the box. So, was Matt Turner perfect? No, but he did come up with some really big saves and did everything that he could to keep his team in the match. Now it's time for us to move forward one line to our defense. And this is where things start to get a little bit tricky because, one, we have a few players that are injured, right? Anthony Robinson, who is undoubtedly our starting left back for the U.S. men's national team, he's still recovering from his knee surgery and he did not play this weekend. So we have to move a few things around. A couple of other left backs who are in contention also did not play, Caleb Wiley being one of them. So getting creative, knowing that we do have a little bit of depth when it comes to our right back position, and Serginho Dest can play left back for club and country, and he has done both, he's going to slot in as our left back this week. And Serginho Dest had an absolutely amazing match, man of the match performance for PSV. Dest went the full 90 in their 2-0 win over 20, and in this match he completed 7 out of his 10 dribbles where he looks back to his old self after his ACL injury. He looks smooth, comfortable, and very deceptive on the ball. Dest also completed 41 of his 48 passes and is very much contributing to the offense with PSV. We expect that with his club. We expect that when he comes into the U.S. men's national team, but that's not really what made his performance over the weekend noteworthy. He was also a very good contributor on the defensive side of the ball, where he won 10 of his 15 ground duels. This stands out because of the competition he was playing against. 20 is one of the better teams in the Eredivisie. If he's putting in solid defensive performances against clubs like 20, I feel good about where he's at, and we may even be seeing a slight progression in his defensive capabilities. I think we would all love to see that, while also knowing his main contributions are going to come to the offensive, creative side of the game. As our left center back, this week we have Mark McKenzie. And McKenzie went the full 90 minutes with Toulouse in an away match in League One, where his team kept a clean sheet. They didn't give up a goal to a very good team in Nice, and that is very important and very notable to have a good start to the season for Mark McKenzie. He also completed 42 of 45 passes and 6 of 7 long balls. Hopefully he can continue to grow and mature into a ball-playing center back that we really need to phase in as Tim Ream inevitably phases out. Chris Richards needs a partner. I'm a big fan of Mark McKenzie. I think he's the next best option with Chris Richards. Noah Kai Banks, in my opinion, is hot on his heels, but he's still very young. So Mark McKenzie definitely has a place in this roster. Moving to our right center back, we have Chris Richards, who put in another strong performance for Crystal Palace. He went the full 90 minutes against Chelsea and helped his team come to a 0-0 draw against a Chelsea team that is absolutely flying high over a strong summer. But what they didn't know is that Chris Richards has not missed a beat since the end of the last season. He was very consistent over the summer. He's had a great preseason with Palace. He's back in action, and he is definitely stepping into more of a leadership, consistent contributor role at Palace. While he already has emerged, I think, last year as a starter, he's locked in, and he is one of the foundations of that Crystal Palace defense, and I'm very excited to see what he can do going forward. Moving over to our right back position, which traditionally it would be Serginho Dest, is Joe Scally, who has typically been our backup right behind Dest. He's more defensively sound and doesn't contribute as much offensively, but that's okay because there is something to be said for a sound, consistent, steady defensive contributor. And that is Joe Scally to a T. With Borussia Mönchengladbach, Joe Scally went the full 90 minutes in a 3-2 win, and he won 12 of his 15 aerial and ground duels and had 5 of 7 accurate long balls, but unfortunately, none of his 6 crosses were accurate. So again, Joe Scally, very consistent on the defensive side of the ball, lacking when it comes to his offensive contributions. Stepping into the midfield of this 4-3-3 formation, we have Tyler Adams as the 6. Tyler played 89 minutes for Bournemouth in the opening weekend against Liverpool, and while he was mostly solid defensively, he had a few moments where maybe he could have done a little bit more. For Liverpool's first goal, Tyler looked like he might make a play on the ball. However, the defender was in behind, and if Tyler were to make a play on the ball, he was most likely diving in, giving up a penalty, and risking a red card. So he applied a little bit of pressure, but it wasn't near enough to actually set the attacker off, and so it looks like Tyler was responsible for that goal. I don't want to put the whole blame on him there, but the optics were not good. On the positive side, Tyler did have a really good hockey assist where he played a long through ball in transition that led to a goal. It was a great heads-up play where he was aware of where his attackers were and what the situation called for, released the ball and played it very accurately. While Tyler's not perfect on the ball, he's not that possession-based 6, that deep-lying playmaker, he is capable of pulling out something like that. Next in our midfield trio is Aidan Morris of Middlesbrough. And Aidan Morris went the full 90 minutes with Middlesbrough, completing 55 of his 60 passes and 4 out of 5 long balls. Morris also won 12 of 17 ground duels and his only aerial duel, and for this, he gets in the week's starting 11. This was a man-of-the-match performance for Middlesbrough, and I'm excited to see him continue to grow with them. He had a strong start to the season last year before getting injured. Hopefully he can make things interesting and maybe provide a depth piece in our midfield. I like the game that Aidan Morris has. I want to see him do it at a higher, consistent level. And finally, we have Tanner Tessman of Olympique Lyon in France. And Tanner went the full 90 minutes. He was, again, good defensively and calm on the ball, which we've seen some growth in over the last year. But ultimately, he's just safe. He's not necessarily the most dangerous player. He's not making the big passes, but he's cutting off passing lanes. He's reading the game well. He's contributing defensively, and he's safe on the ball. He's like that top tier backup quarterback. He's not going to win you the game, but he's also not going to lose it for you. He's a game manager, and honestly, there's a good place for that. If he can be a cool, calm, level head and help us be defensively sound in the future, he's got a place, and that's why he's in this starting 11. Moving up to our attacking 3, we're starting with none other than Christian Pulisic. And Christian played 65 minutes in the Coppa Italia, where he had a slow start, but came on really strong that last 50 minutes that he played, and he actually scored 1 goal and created 5 additional chances, taking 4 shots himself. No, the competition wasn't the highest of levels, but you can only play who's in front of you, and Christian did just that. He grew into the game, he stepped up, and he really took control after about 15-20 minutes. I want to see a very aggressive, offensive-minded Pulisic this year, and hopefully, with the lack of European competition, we're going to see a little bit more of that. We're going to see him go all out a little bit more because his load management isn't going to be as difficult. Christian's off to a hot start with his club, and that's what we need. Going over to the other wing, we have Haji Wright of Coventry. With Coventry, Haji played almost a full 90. He was a stoppage time sub after converting a penalty kick to really seal the deal in a 5-3 win over Derby County. In this match, he played centrally, but we know he's played for them on the left wing before, and he's a good depth piece for us when it comes to a wide player, and he can also slot in up top for us. However, he's not our striker. Today, I have him as our right winger because we've seen him play that position before, and Christian is firmly planted on the left. So, getting a little bit creative here with a couple players out injured, Haji Wright, he slots into our right wing position. And finally, our center forward. And this week, this month, it can be none other than Josh Sargent. The dude is on absolute fire. He scored 3 goals in 3 games for Norwich City, and honestly, he looks like I still want to say it, he looks like he's outgrown the championship, but this is where he is, it's where he's happy, and it's where he's producing. If Josh can stay healthy, there's no reason that he is not going to be a very prominent fixture in this series. He's got steep competition with Ricardo Pepi and Fuller and Balogun, obviously, but they're both out injured this week, and Josh needs to take advantage of that, not only for the sake of this series, which realistically nobody cares about, but the U.S. men's national team picture. If he is scoring goals left and right, there's no reason that he doesn't get back in the September window. And if he can produce there, he can play himself into the World Cup roster. If he doesn't and he continues to go ice cold for the U.S. men's national team, I don't see him making that roster. I see Poch putting his faith in someone else. But for right now, he is dominating the championship, and there's no reason that Josh shouldn't be in this starting 11 video today. All right, guys, that rounds out our starting 11. I do want to give one honorable mention position here to Johnny Cardoso. He had a very good 45 minutes with Atletico Madrid, but he was a halftime sub. Was this because he was on a yellow? Maybe. But when he left the match, they were up 1-0. Atletico ended up losing the match 2-1. We could see that the midfield was nowhere near as comfortable or as consistent with him out. So I think that one, it speaks volumes that he has just made a transfer there and he's already in the starting 11, but two, the team looks better when he's on the field. While I think he played well, I can't give a player who is pulled off at halftime a spot in the starting 11. Whether it's tactical, whether it's to protect him on a yellow, it doesn't matter. That's not enough game time to earn your way in unless you're popping 2 goals in the back of the net in 15 minutes. I'm looking forward to seeing more of what Johnny can do going forward, but this week he is just an honorable mention. All right, guys, that's everything I've got for you. Let me know what you think. Let me know who belongs in our starting 11 and who you're excited to see play more this season. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.